This is University of California, KUCR, NAMM 2020. My name is Christian Valdez, and we're here with...
Hi, my name is John Ross. I'm with Westminster Effects and Nose Pedal from Lyman, South Carolina.
So John today is going to give us a quick tour of the effects board. These are all analog pedals, and we also have the direct signal running straight into the camera to get pure sound. So John, why don't you show us some of your favorites?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So we have two brands running side by side. We've got Westminster Effects, which is the traditional overdrives, distortions, fuzz, boosts, reverb, delay, that sort of stuff. And then we've got Nose Pedal that runs right alongside of it. Nose Pedal is all the utility options. So if we take a look at the board, Nose Pedal we can start with because there's only three of them. The first one is a buffer. So there's always the discussion on whether pedals should be true bypass or buffered bypass. And buffered bypass just means that there is a circuit that stays on when the pedal is off. Well, what you'll find is when you have like a long instrument cable, the longer a cable is, the more high end gets rolled off, just like the tone control on a guitar. It's called capacitance. So when you roll a tone control off on a guitar, it's sending more signal through a capacitor, and it's losing that high end. And that's exactly what happens in guitar cable. Regardless of how high quality it is, I mean, better cable gets less capacitance, but at the end of the day, to combat that, you need something with a buffer. And in a boutique world where most people are running true bypass pedals, Nose Pedal offers the regeneration buffer to breathe that life back into the signal, hence the name regeneration, right? Some other ones are like the secret mute switch. It's a tiny little passive guy, just hit the button, completely muted. We've had a major artist just pick one up for his tours. Production manager reached out to us and said, we need that, and we need that in stereo, and we're happy to oblige.
So that just gives a quick mute to all the signals?
And we've got something very similar, that's a stutter switch as well. So we've seen a lot of players that put an arcade button on a guitar. In fact, our neighbors to the right here have a stutter button built into their demo rig to kind of break that up. And so there's an option for that as well. If we follow all the way up here, the last nose option on the board is the micro volume, which a volume pedal is a volume pedal, but this is one that takes up very little space, is completely passive, you don't need any power, and you can use your foot to roll it up without having to take a big rocker pedal up on stage. So those things and much more of the nose stuff, it helps you be more efficient at playing. It doesn't make you better, just makes you more efficient.
So this is offering the user a chance to build a larger pedal board with more effects rather than having space dedicated to something like a large wah pedal.
A huge volume pedal right in the middle, something incredibly small. And there's also expression pedals that Nose Pedal offers that are the same form factor as well. So you can have any effect that takes an expression pedal in from any major manufacturer, and you can use the Nose Pedal micro expression and roll it up with your foot rather than having a rocker pedal to do it for you. Probably not the best for a wah solution, but you can do that half-cocked wah sort of thing and never touch it and never lose that setting. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
If I were to ask you if Westminster had a signature boutique pedal, what would that be?
You know, the owner is sitting right next to me right now, but I'm gonna answer and just watch him sweat. So I hope that's in 4K so you can just see the beads of sweat right on his face. Now, my personal favorite out of the entire lineup, as far as what it does better than anything else, is probably actually the Calvin compressor. It's the cleanest, smoothest responding guitar compressor I've ever used. And I'm not a huge fan of compressors because they can be noisy, and with a lot of them, they're trying to save space. Like if you take like a Dynacomp, for instance. It's a great compressor, two knobs, it's hard to dial in exactly what you're looking for. This has enough options that you can dial it in just like a studio comp.
Is it just personal preference to have the compressor that far at the end of the chain, or is that the beginning of the chain?
That's the beginning of the chain.
So is it personal preference to have it at the beginning of the chain?
My personal, yes. If I'm going to do volume swells, I'll do it after my overdrive pedals, though. That way I can have full saturation coming into my overdrive pedals, going to the compressor, and then volume swells after it. So as my guitar dies down, I have more life for that signal to swell it up. And it gives more of that ambience that, and less attack, right? Yeah.
So how much does this compressor run for?
That I don't know.
What was that?
How much does the compressor run for?
$149.99.
I was going to say that.
Now we're here also with
Cody Fields. I'm the owner of both of these brands. So, yes, sir. Yeah.
what your favorite pedal was from this creation right here. What would you say?
It kind of depends on what day it is. So, like, if I'm playing in my post-hardcore band, you know, we're playing pretty heavy stuff. So it's my go-to for high gain is the Osteen Distortion here. It's that's the reaction that you want, because I get all kinds of reactions. Some of them are angrier than that. So, yeah, so that's my highest gain, raunchiest distortion. 3-band EQ kind of gets in that 5150 or dual rec kind of feel. It stays tight even with drop tunings like drop C or drop B. But you know, a lot of this is also marketed toward the church crowd. Like if I'm doing church or anything lower gain, I really like the dually. It's a dual blues breaker style, so you can think of something like a King of Tone or 2 JHS Morning Glories or something like that in that vein, and it stays transparent enough that you're not overwhelmed with gain, but at the same time you can still really wail on it and get some pretty thick tones out of it.
Yeah, it's great for stacking too.
Great for stacking.
I mean, both by itself and with its cousin next to it, the 1689. And we actually offer a pedal called the E89 that combines both of those circuits together because they play so nice together.
You're saying you market to the church crowd. Is that your main market? Meaning like contemporary Protestant like worship services that are kind of large, like concerts?
Yeah, basically where. So I'm a nerd for one. So if anybody picked up, like a lot of these are church history based, like guys that have been dead for 500 years or so. So I've kind of seen, if you'll allow me, a lot of in American Protestantism, a lot of shallowness, and it's like, hey, read these dead guys. They have a lot of good things to say, right? As opposed to just like a self-help kind of message. Like there's a lot of richness in the past in church history. It's not just the Book of Acts and then Billy Graham 1900 years later. It's we have 2,000 years of family history to glean from, and we can learn a whole lot from these guys, even when they were wrong on some stuff. So, like, I definitely don't agree with everybody. Well, I definitely don't agree with that guy, but on much of anything. But there's just so much to learn, and you really, like, you read back even to the first century, and it's the exact same thing that we're talking about today. So
as far as marketing your products, do you guys solely do online? Do you send out to any type of stores? What do you try to do to get your products out there?
Yeah, so I love getting into retailers because guitarists, even though we can still, with all of our technology, get on YouTube and hear some really great demos, there's still something about being able to sit down with your guitar, with your amp, and plugging in your pedal. Like, you know, there's still times where, like, if I'm looking for an amp, I'll take my entire rig into Guitar Center or wherever and throw that in front of it. But so retailers really help so people can see it. They know it looks good. Well, let's see how it sounds when I play it, as opposed to when some incredible guy on YouTube plays it, because not you? Okay. So, yeah. Really trying to push the retailer side, but Instagram and Facebook have been really good for me. There is no better advertising platform on the planet than Facebook for a small business.
That would be under Westminster?
Westminster Effects, yes sir, yeah, or Nose Pedal. They both have their own social media entities on Instagram and Facebook.
They're both owned and created by you?
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time today, sir. Appreciate it very much.
Absolutely. You want me to play you out?
Yes, please. This is Westminster and No Pedal Effects here at NAMM 2020, giving us a little outro. NAMM 2020, University of California, KUCR, signing off.